Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's January 10th, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, I guess it's Monday morning, so we might want to say news of the weekend. I mean, starting with Miami basketball, believe it or not, like people are going to have to start getting into this team. I mean, it's just amazing what's going on in the basketball program. We've been so distracted by the football coaching change and the recruiting and everything. And this basketball team has just kind of like morphed into a monster right before our very eyes. And never was that more evident than Saturday night when they went into Cameron Indoor Arena at Duke and stunned the number 2 ranked Blue Devils in Coach K's farewell season, much less, where you know you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt ever from a referee's whistle. Matt, I thought they went in there with just an amazing game plan and execution, and I think they got what they deserved. You know, they got a victory.
Yeah, I hopped on the Cane train after the previous win where I told you were right. I had questioned the team. I wasn't quite sure how good they'd be. You said from the beginning of the year, this is going to be a special team, an exciting team. And the thing about this team is there's no star player. Right? You could say Cam McGusty or Isaiah Wong, but really what's special to me about this team is that it plays like a team. And you don't see guys being unselfish on other teams. They're trying to make the NBA. They're trying to prove they were 5 stars at Duke, for instance. At Miami, there's just a bunch of guys who want to have a good time with their teammates and try to win some games and do what the coaches are asking them to do. They're not out for themselves, which is why it's so refreshing to watch them play. They're not trying to put up 30 points, any of them. They're not trying to put up 10 assists, any of them. Sam Wardenberg and Charlie Moore are perfect examples of role guys who will do whatever it takes. Sam Wardenberg had 2 points, but we talked about this, I think, last week. To me, he's like Jimmy Graham, not in that he's going to be an NFL all-pro tight end or future Hall of Famer, but in the fact that he doesn't show up in the box score, but he does a lot of things that make the team go, whether it's just playing decent defense, having that leadership presence as an older guy, getting rebounds, those backdoor passes time after time, on point passes, keeping everyone grounded, because Duke made a run. Like Miami came out pretty hot. Duke made a big run. I think it was a 13-0 run. And then Miami came right back. They didn't get flustered. They're an older team. This is a really fun team to watch, and it's because there's not a superstar. I don't know, you know, maybe Cam McGusty would start or Isaiah Wong maybe at Duke. I'm not sure either of them would. I'm not sure anybody that started from Miami would start at Duke, and they beat Duke. And there's a reason for it, and it's they're playing great team basketball. You can say it's Coach L's coaching, whatever you want, but it's just that
It was Saturday night. His coaching was off the charts.
Well, they always play Duke well. He's 7-on-7 against Duke. But the point, what Coach L does that's great to me isn't the X's and O's. He's fine at that, obviously. But what he does is he gets his teams to understand how a team should look, how a team should play, what a team should do. And doesn't stress guys out. You look at Coach K during that game, he looked like he was ready to murder somebody the entire game. And Coach
at the end, did you see him after the final whistle? I mean, he looked like he had seen a ghost. Like it was like he didn't look well at the end of that game, and I'm not quite sure why. Like you know, he's got a loaded team. They have enormous upside. They're really, really good. And Miami, you know, just played a tremendous game last night. But Duke has nothing to worry about. They are going to be a beast by the end of the season. They're playing all young kids. And really, they didn't lose Saturday night because they played poorly. They lost Saturday night because Miami was unbelievable. And it was fair that Miami won that game.
Listen, when you say Coach K saw a ghost, what he saw and what he probably scares the hell out of him is Miami showed other teams the recipe for beating Duke. And what Miami does, which is extraordinary, Coach L and his staff have recognized we can't play defense. We don't have a big man to stop anybody. We can't stop people in the post, yet somehow they had more post points than Duke. And the reason they were able to be so successful and throw Duke off its own offensive game was what they realized is we can't play a traditional defense. What we can do, we're smaller, we're faster, we're quicker, so we have to use those tools, get our hands in passing lanes, get up on guys who are bigger than us because we know we're quicker than them and can stay with them on defense. There's no need to be off the ball. They're not going to be open for threes because we're going to be on them. They can't drive past us because we're quicker. We have quicker hips. We're smaller. We can get down in front of them and quick hands, get the balls out. That's why Duke had so many turnovers. And Miami's struggles in defense, I'm not as concerned anymore as I was before because this is a much bigger, 3-inch on average bigger team, and Miami did just fine. Yeah,
well, they're learning it's fun. They're learning it's fun to play defense. I mean,
right, well, they were out rebounded like crazy. They're not going to win rebounding battles ever, but they're going to get steals. They're going to get turnovers. They're going to fluster other teams enough that because they can score so well, I think they're going to be. They are an NCAA team, and they could compete to be a top 3 team in the ACC. Which, if you asked me a month ago, I would have laughed at that idea.
Well, the thing that really stood out to me was the level of scouting. They were trapping, but they were more than just trapping. Like they always had a guy, they knew the exactly what Duke's players were going to do. They knew their tendencies, and they had a guy at all times just waiting for the basketball. Like they would know a guy likes to spin right or in certain situations, and they just always seemed to have somebody in the right place at the right time. And
I mean, I would actually argue that, look, Duke never should have gone to his own defense, first of all. And then what really screwed, to me, what really helped Miami the most was when Syracuse blew out Miami in the first half of that prior game, and Miami started to trap and realized, oh my gosh, we found lightning in a bottle here. Because they realized against these big, long teams, they don't need to get set on defense like a traditional team anymore. They can trap. They can cause all sorts of havoc. They got a much deeper bench now. They got some freshmen who can play defense like Guga Poplar. They can exert their energy at a much higher level. And if Syracuse had not done what it did in that first half where Miami had to come back by trapping, I'm not sure you would have seen the amount of trapping. Like you could say, oh, they scouted them, whatever. But I think Coach L and the staff realized, geez, we can do this against any longer team than we are. Why not? Like, just go for it. What do we have to lose? And I think that's in great part. It looked like they had scouted Duke, but really what it was, they were just trapping the corners, and it was working because the guys were faster, quicker.
So you're suggesting that they don't spend time watching tape.
They do, but they had a 2-day turnaround.
And they don't look at tendencies of players or anything like that. Like, they don't waste their time.
That's not what I said. How many practices did they have since the Syracuse game?
What you're sitting here saying. You're saying they didn't scout Duke at all, that this all just happened organically by accident.
What I'm saying, if you let me ever talk, is I think it's never as planned as it looks, and it's never not as planned as it looks, if you know what I mean. So they had just played Syracuse January 5th. This game was January 8th. They didn't practice, I don't think, January 6th. It was a night game January 5th. They had one practice. If you're telling me they installed all this and studied all this film for Duke, like, no. Some of it was just they know they're good at this. Some of it was planning before the season, and some of it was
they had a practice on Friday and they installed the game plan for Duke.
Right,
and
in one day.
It involved a lot of scouting, not just a little bit.
Right, but you install it in a 2-hour practice. There's only so much you do. What I'm saying is it's a combination. Of course, they knew they scout every team before the season. They know exactly what they're doing, but you don't have the team practice all season. Here's what we're doing against Duke. They did it in one day, and they knew they're good at trapping. They knew they're going to trap the corners. It didn't matter what player was in the game in the corner of the ball. They were still trapping the corner. They're still trapping the corner no matter who had the ball, Gary. It's not like, oh, only if this guy has the ball, trapping the corner. No, they did it to everybody.
The bulk of what we saw Saturday night, we were seeing for the first time this season. So
no, they did it against Syracuse.
Maybe
Syracuse game, second half.
Training camp or whatever, they practiced some of those defensive concepts. I'm not disputing that. I don't know. I'm just telling you that the way they were defending Duke on Saturday night was the first time we had seen a lot of it. It was the first time we had seen the propensity for all those backdoor cuts that they clearly put in for that game to take advantage of Duke's tendencies defensively that they didn't see because they never scouted them.
Well, you got to remember, Sam Wardenberg missed the prior 2 games, and they ran the offense through him, which they can do, but we hadn't been able to see it because he's been out for 2 games.
Yeah, but they were taking advantage of Duke's aggressiveness, and they were backdooring them all night long.
100%
Duke
correct.
never adjusted.
100%.
So, look, we're not going to sit and argue for a long time about whether there was a scouting report. I feel
of course there was a scouting report. What I'm saying is You have one day
The
to
idea that
implement
this
it. So I'm
just
saying
happened on the fly is
what I'm
crazy.
saying is don't give Jim Larrañaga too much credit.
I'm
It's great
giving
to
him
give him
too
all the
much
credit.
I'm giving him a lot of credit, and I'm telling you right now, that win on Saturday night, he gets so much credit for that. I guarantee you that it will not be too many more weeks before you hear that Jim Larrañaga has signed an extension of his contract at Miami. You watch. You watch.
What I'm saying is watch the Florida State.
Remember, you heard it here first. It's coming.
Gary, so let me ask you something.
Yeah.
This was the game plan just for Duke. You don't think they're going to do the same thing against Florida State and all the long, tall teams they play all year?
Totally different matchups, different
We'll see.
tendencies, different everything.
I bet they still trap. I still bet they still trap the corners.
They might. I'm not saying they will or won't. I have no idea, but I'm just saying every opponent has different.
Right, but if you're a smaller, faster team, which they are against almost everybody, this is the formula for success. Kudos to them for finding it. It's a game plan for everybody. Every longer, taller team that you're quicker than, this is what you do.
Okay, but Florida State doesn't play the same as Duke. Look, the bottom line is this. The Miami Hurricanes basketball program is in first place in the ACC. And I can't believe that anybody, including this guy to my, I guess on your screen, he's to my right. I can't believe that bothers anybody. Okay, and I don't care how they got there. The ins and outs, whatever. They're number one right now in the ACC. It's an amazing accomplishment, and I think everybody should applaud Coach L and hope that they can continue it beginning Tuesday night in Tallahassee against Florida State, and that's going to be a tough out. But we won't get into that game today. But we do get into, as we're talking about the news of the day on the website, we do have an analysis of what's going on with Miami basketball that I think everybody will enjoy. So sink your teeth into that. Get into the basketball team. They have home games coming up. If you're in South Florida, you have North Carolina and Florida State home games coming up. Pack the buck. Make those games sellouts. Enjoy the success of Miami basketball because you haven't had a chance to enjoy a lot of success for a lot of things lately. And it's been kind of tough times. And by the way,
that analysis is coming out later this afternoon, I guess, after Jim Larrañaga talks. But yeah, we'll have that on the site around 1 p.m., something like that.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's talk about other news of the day. Well, first, I know everyone's interested in the coordinator hires. News on that could come any minute, and we're not going to spend a lot of time here on Good Morning CaneSport talking about the coordinator jobs because when something breaks there, we will do a separate CaneSport right now show to talk about that topic. But something should be happening here this week and maybe as early as today. So we'll be all over that. A lot of rumors going around. There's a lot of candidates, but we got to believe that things are getting relatively close to a final judgment with recruits starting to come on campus. You got mid-year transfers that'll be coming in this week at different times. And then high school recruiting will pick up next weekend as well. So there's going to be a lot going on recruiting-wise. And I got to believe Mario Cristobal is going to want his coordinators in place this week. So I'm expecting something there really, really soon. All right. As for the other stories on the website today, let's talk first, Matt, about Shamar Sword. And we caught up with Shamar, and he's got a lot going on. And I think the most accurate way really to describe that story is essentially what the headline on it says, and that is Shamar Sword is hitting the reset button. And that's a good thing for the Miami Hurricanes, in my opinion, because I think he's been very focused on Texas A&M, a little bit Georgia, but really Texas A&M. They're getting yet another visit from him here this week. But I think it's important to note that Miami's going to have the last visit. And I think Miami is going to pick up steam with Shamar Sword, and this is going to be a battle to the finish line. Matt, your thoughts?
The only thing I'd add, people can read the story. Obviously, Shamar Sword's super important. One of the interesting things that he did say was how he's not worried at all about Texas A&M having all these defensive ends and defensive tackles. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't play defensive tackle, but he actually says he likes that because he won't get double teamed, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, and I talked to him for a while, he's a super nice kid. I love Shamar. He's a super nice kid. We talked a little bit, probably 5 minutes worth, about actually less than that, maybe a couple minutes, not that much. But it was interesting because I asked him, he's resetting his recruitment. He wants to take these visits and then figure it out. I said, who are you leaning on? Are you making this decision by yourself, with your family, with your coaches? Who is your sounding board, or is it just you? And there's one coach at his school that's the guy who he's going to sit down with, he says, and that's who he's going to decide with. And I think that coach will have a lot of influence because, again, these are high school seniors. This is a life decision. So somebody who has the experience, who knows what it should look like at a college program and can say to this kid, listen, here's why you should go here and not here and not here. So I hope Miami coaches know who that coach is, because as far as I'm concerned,
I can assure you, just like I assured you there was a basketball game plan on Saturday night, I can assure you that they are very well aware.
Yes, it was a rhetorical question. It was a rhetorical question. Of course, they know who it is. My point is, I don't want to single out a guy, so I don't want to start mentioning it like that. But my point
I'm having fun today, man. I'm like, you're giving me all kinds of openings here. Jesus,
it's not an opening.
This is like Mardi Gras for me.
So the point is, this guy has a lot of influence on Shamar. So all three schools are basically going to be recruiting this coach as much as Shamar, which I find sort of interesting, you know. So we'll see what happens. Like what Shamar wants to do, and what's best for Shamar might be two different things. And Shamar's going to have to reconcile those when it comes time to announce. And it sounds like he's waiting until signing day.
All right, so that's going to be one we'll obviously be following for the next few weeks. Probably the biggest non-committed recruit on the board. Would you say, man? I mean, I think so.
Well, non-committed to where? Because Harold Perkins is usually. They're going to get some guys that are going to visit. That
Shamar, I think, is
just as highly, if not higher.
South Florida kid, I think, is the most important recruit on the board right now. I mean, in terms of this cycle, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And he's going to get the full court press the next few weeks, I guarantee you.
And they would have, listen, if they get Shamar, they would probably have, to me, as good a defensive end class, if not better, than Texas A&M, arguably the best defensive end class in the country.
Yeah.
With Cyrus Moss and Nigel Lee Kelly and Shamar Stewart. How much better can you get than that? I mean, that's living the dream right there. And it's possible. It wouldn't shock me if Shamar winds up at Miami at all. And that's
not at all.
That's a great testament to Mario Cristobal so far and what can happen.
No doubt.
By the way, speaking of Cyrus Moss, do you know who Mario Cristobal was, what he was doing when Cyrus Moss announced the Army All-American game?
No. He
was talking to a young defensive end prospect from Missouri, a recruit. And I happened to just talk to this recruit last night. I mean, I'll write this right. We have so much stuff going on. I'll write it up at some point. But the kid says to me, he says, yeah, I was talking to Coach Cristobal while he was watching Cyrus Moss announce at the All-American Bowl. He says,
they knew what the announcement was going to be.
Of course, but I mean, the fact that Mario's talking to a recruit during the announcement and telling the kid, like, yeah, I think pretty sure this kid's coming to Miami, and and then the kid announces, and Mario's still talking to the kid from Missouri, and then Mario says to the kid, like, oh, you know what? Cyrus Moss's family's calling me. I probably should go. And the kid's like, okay, talk to you later, coach. I just think that's hilarious. It just strikes me as funny. I don't know why. Because Mario never stops. There was another kid who told me that he thinks Mario doesn't sleep because he texted Mario before one of his workouts at 5 a.m. and Mario responded right away. And he says he goes to bed. The kid goes to bed at 9:30 p.m. every night, the kid told me. But he's getting texts from Mario that show up that they were showing up at 11 p.m. or later. He's like, maybe there's two Mario Cristobals. I don't understand.
All right. Also, this weekend was 7-on-7 season, the kickoff of 7-on-7 season with the tryout camps for all three South Florida teams. And we were out at all of them and spoke to a lot of kids, had a lot of content on the site this weekend. So if you weren't, if you took the weekend off, make sure you go back and look at the last few days of stories. There's some really good stuff. And it continues this morning and with a few things. And starting with a 4-star at the South Florida Express tryouts, Chance Robinson, who talks a little bit about how Miami can't let the local talent get away. And that's significant because I think the local kids are starting to realize that there's a lot of talent the next few years here in South Florida. And the timing, Matt, couldn't be better to have a better recruiting staff in the building, because there's going to be a premium, especially we're just starting the peak at 2024. But if you look at 2023 with some of these kids, Brandon Ennis, Santana Fleming, Jaylen Brown, that's just the receiver position. I mean, there's going to be some really, really, really good players here in this 23 class. And it's going to be important that Miami obviously starts getting its fair share of the South Florida kids.
Yeah. What strikes me as funny with Chance Robinson is he said we can't let the talent escape. So he's a recruit, but he's a Miami fan, which is what a lot of these area kids are that Miami's after in 2023 and 2024. And they have to, I got to use the word reconcile, but they have to reconcile being a fan versus what's best for them. And Miami has to make both happen, right? It's not just magic where you hire Mario Cristobal and kids just flock to Miami. So he's got the work, Mario's got the work with he and his staff have to put in. They got plenty of time to get these kids on campus multiple times, at games next season multiple times, and show them this is why you should stay home and why we can be a national championship team with you here. If he can accomplish that, I can't imagine why these kids would go away. I think the kids almost need a reason to leave, and Miami's been giving them way too many of those reasons over the last 15 years or whatever it is.
Well, the staff is slowly getting in place. The recruiting effort is going to crank into gear here this week. And, watch out for the Miami Hurricanes, in my opinion. I think that things are going very well. And I think that it's not going to be too many more years before Miami is a serious player again in college football. And that's obviously what everybody wants to see. All right, I talked about Jaylen Brown. We got a story on him today, talking about how much he's talking to both Brian McClendon, the new receivers coach, and Mario Cristobal. He'll be a huge priority in this next cycle. So that's good. We also talked to a kid that's been a little bit of a mystery to me because of how quickly he committed to Clemson. That's Miami Edison's star receiver, Nathaniel Joseph. And Miami's picking up the pace on its recruitment of him as well. So it's a big year for receivers coming up in South Florida. And Miami's going to be in the game with every one of them. And I don't know if they'll get everyone, but if they even get, 2 or 3 of them, it's going to be really good to fortify what already is a strong receiver position, and one that I think is going to get even stronger here in the coming days in recruiting transfers. I'm expecting they're a little light on numbers at receiver. I'm expecting 1 or 2 transfer receivers to come into this class. And Matt, you and I have been arguing about numbers, or not arguing, but debating and talking about it and all that. I put a little more time into that over the weekend, and I think the realistic number, I think they have 10 right now. If you count Lichtenstein, I think they're sitting at 10 right now in terms of
10 what?
10 kids in this so-called class.
Oh, okay.
And I think they're going to end up in the 20, 22, 23, 24 range, so somewhere in there. I mean, we kidded around that they should take 30, 35 kids.
But you're missing you're still missing the point.
Uh-oh.
Which
I put a lot of time into this. I think that
you didn't listen to me.
21, 22.
It's not the number that matters. It's which ones are transfers that have a single year left. Which ones are recruits that are freshmen and taking a spot for 4 years. Which ones are transfers that have 2 or 3 years left.
They're going to have probably 7, 8 transfers.
That are what? 1 year transfers? 2 year plus?
It'll be a combination of that.
Well, if you take 2 year plus transfers, they're costing a spot either in 2023 or 2024.
There'll be good enough players that they'll be willing to do that.
There's no way around it. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think the number is going to approach 30.
By the way, you mentioned Nathaniel Joseph. What's still, you didn't ask me about him, but what's shocking to me about him is he literally said this is a quote from him, okay? Nathaniel Joseph, the last staff never talked to them. That was a quote from this guy. This is a guy who has Alabama coaches texting him every day, committed to Clemson, in Miami's backyard at Miami Edison. Manny Diaz and company were too busy golfing to call the kid. I'm saying golfing. They just didn't call the kid. How do you not try? How do you say we can't get him anyway? Why waste our time? Like, how do you do that? Mario Cristobal's up until, he doesn't go to sleep. Manny Diaz must have been asleep at the wheel with his staff because, we
already knew that.
These are kids you got to go after.
Pretty soon, we're going to have to put a moratorium on this show on the name Manny Diaz, because things are going to be operating at such a different level that
they already are.
That's what I'm saying. And we could get so redundant if we keep saying, "Oh, Manny didn't do that," or "Manny wasn't on top of this."
I like that redundancy. I'm all about redundancy.
Yeah, but I'm over Manny. I like Manny. Yeah. I like Manny, but I'm over talking about Manny.
You know why it's important? Let me tell you something. It's important to talk about Manny Diaz because fans. Mario Cristobal is not going to win every game. He may lose 3 games. He may lose 4 games, but you have to give him time. And the reason you have to give him time is the name that Gary won't let me say anymore. Okay, that's why you have to say his name once in a while to remind fans. Look, you can say, like, people are already saying Mario lost, Kevin Coleman to Jackson State and Dion. Like it's a program problem, and it's not. Mario just got here. He's changed.
That wasn't a problem. Kevin Coleman was never being recruited by Miami. I mean, until Mario got here, and he played them a little bit like he played everybody else, and did that stupid little skit on national television where he's pulling out Jackson State stuff out of a bag. I mean,
my point is, once Miami is once Miami's established and Mario's on this kid for a year, that kid either will never do that or Mario will know this kid's messed up.
I mean,
that's my point. He had barely any time to be on the kid. Missing the picture that Miami needs to be doing exactly what Jackson State's doing and get 10 5-stars a year with some of these boosters, donors.
And you don't think that's going to happen?
You're missing the boat.
You don't think he would have gotten an NIL deal here? Of course.
He obviously didn't have anything guaranteed in his pocket that he was going to be getting. No.
I don't know. I can't answer that, but I feel pretty certain that Kevin Coleman would have gotten an NIL deal here. I agree that they're a little bit slow getting this organized for obvious reasons. You just had a coaching change, and the people that are going to be doing this NIL stuff are just getting involved in the football program and the athletic program. So it's going to take them a little bit time to get organized properly. But I feel pretty certain that most of these kids know that Miami is going to be in the NIL game, and they're going to have NIL.
They better be. By the way, the best.
You don't think Tyler Van Dyke is going to get an enormous NIL deal?
Exactly, and that's what kids need to see. But they also need to know.
Of course, he's
going. They also need to know coming into Miami, I will be taken care of with NIL deals if you're a top recruit.
Of course, they need to establish that, and they're going to. It's in the works. Correct. And I'm going to tell you somebody else who's going to get an NIL deal, and that's going to be Isaiah Wong, to try to convince him to come back next year, because Miami basketball has a great recruiting class, and this progress that they're making right now to get back on the map, which they are, can't all go to waste. And I think that keeping Isaiah Wong next year is going to be a big deal. I think he's going to be the first Miami basketball player to get a significant.
He's going to need.
Remember, I predicted that too, huh?
He's going to need 6 figures because they make some decent money overseas. But the best message,
which is what he'd be looking at. But I think they will get there. I don't think every kid on the
you have to remember, basically, with Isaiah Wong, it's a company saying I'm willing, or a person saying I'm willing to throw $100,000 away without even getting a tax break, like a donation. Donation, you get money back.
The NIL program at Miami become multi-millions of dollars every year.
Right, and it's just throwing for some of these kids. You're throwing money away just for the benefit of the program, which bless those people's hearts. People at Alabama will do that because there's nothing else in Alabama. People in Miami have to be ready to do that. But I keep trying to say this, and you keep cutting me off. The best message board post of the year.
Don't start that cutting you off.
Say it again.
I did not cut you off. For the record, before somebody goes and posts a comment on YouTube about me cutting Matt off, I did not cut him off at all.
I feel like going like this right now, just to pretend you did that. So listen, the best.
I can do anything, man. I got the controls here. You want to be on screen?
You literally cut me off again just now. I said, okay, thank you. I said that I was trying to say the best message board post of the year, which has only been 9 days long, by the way, but still. The best message board post of the year was this past weekend after Miami beat Duke. Somebody posted, Mario Cristobal is so good that the basketball team still has not lost since he's been hired. Now you can come back, Gary. That's all I wanted to say.
I got to come back because you got that exercise equipment in the background there that everyone's going to think you actually use.
I do.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that.
I used to belong to a gym, and then COVID hit. My gym closed, and now I work out here. What do you want from me? That's a true story. People love my true story. That's a true story.
You're done sleeping on the couch, right?
I don't sleep not anymore. Ellen, my wife had COVID, and it's over and done with, thank God. So. And
our mom and dad allowed. Our mom and dad still there?
What's that?
Our mom and dad still in town?
You're not gonna believe this. So my father doesn't love Miami. I don't know why. He wants to go back to New York. He's going back to New York like they had planned this week. My mom decides she likes Miami so much she's staying an extra week.
And he's going home.
He's like, I don't like it here.
That's awesome. So. Maybe have you ever taken him crabbing?
Did I take him? I did take him. Yes, I took him years ago.
Did once. He enjoy that?
Years ago. He never asked to go back. I don't know why he never asked to go back again. He went once.
Maybe you got to get a little bigger boat. Maybe he
I don't
felt
know.
unsafe. I mean, I
Now
don't think-
my sister-in-law wants to go. I don't think she knows what she's in for, but we'll see.
All right, well, that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. Stay tuned. We're looking for news on the coordinator front. Could happen at any moment. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you for joining us today on Good Morning CaneSport. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day.